Dean Willoughby, David, thank you very much for the invitation to spend some time here today with you all and speak about technology and speak about the great transformation that the automotive industry is going on right now, and in particular, how is it that GM, putting the customers at the center of everything that we do, is coping up with this fast change and bringing up technologies and experiences that solve big pain points for our customers. As our CEO, Mary Barra, says, this industry is changing more now than what it has over the last 5 decades. And we see this change going on in front of us very quickly, happening at the speed of light. I wanted to start my conversation here with you all today talking about a couple of mega trends that are occurring in front of us now. First one is people are living in large metropolitan areas. Statistics show that about 60% of the people around the globe live in large metro areas. That number is thought to be growing up to 75% of the population just in the next few years. What that brings for managers of these cities is an incredible array of new situations, new questions that are happening in front of us. It's no longer just a matter of building and keeping up with the infrastructure. It's responding to big questions that are emerging. First of all, 90% of accidents happen as a result of human error. Second, the amount of time that we're all spending in terms of commuting, going from home to work and back, is growing year after year in these large metro areas. As you saw in the chart before, just in mega cities of over 10 million people in population, that number of cities is growing, and you have cities like Shanghai, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, Mexico, and here in the US you have New York, and of course you have Los Angeles. Another reality is that when a family or a person buys a vehicle, it really sits still for about 90 to 95% of the time, and that is an inefficient use of their assets. It is also true that vehicles in the US are accountable for about 20% of carbon emissions, and we want to solve for all of these problems in General Motors. Second mega trend, perhaps very tied to the first one, is the emergence then of connected consumers in these large metro areas. We're all busy, we all carry our lives in our cell phones, we all want to be efficient with our time. We live and love these ecosystems that we carry here in our cell phones, where we listen to our music, connect with the world, stream our movies, and so on and so forth. So the question, the problem that comes with it is how do we bring those ecosystems into the vehicles, and we do it in a safe way, that protects the customer from a driver distraction perspective, and also in a safe way from a cybersecurity perspective. All of these, we think, new problems that are emerging. We have a vision that is for the future. We believe it is quite compelling, quite beautiful. We believe in a future with zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestions. And we're working, again, putting the customers in the center of everything that we do to bring solutions to this vision. And we do it by being in the front end of these 4 strategic pillars in front of us. First of all, autonomous vehicles or self-driving vehicles. Second, electrification. Third, urban mobility. And fourth, connectivity. I happen in my job to manage the last 2 in the chart, urban mobility and connectivity, and I would like to spend a little bit of time in each of these strategic priorities for General Motors, and to show you the solutions that we're bringing to market using intensely technology to do so. The first one is self-driving vehicles or autonomous vehicles. It all started for GM only a couple of years ago when we acquired Cruise Automation, a startup in the city of San Francisco. And we're now combining the experience of technology development with the experience of decades of manufacturing vehicles. We have about 180 vehicles that are performing tests, mostly in the city of San Francisco. We have a few also in Phoenix and a few in Detroit. And with the idea to have a solution for the statistic that I mentioned before of 90% of accidents happening as a result of human error. Our gating KPI metric for us to go to market with autonomous vehicles is precisely safety. When we are getting to that point, we're going to go to market with these vehicles. I want to share with you a video that is actually taken in our vehicles in San Francisco. So these are the cameras that are installed in those vehicles. For the time being, we have engineers that go in those cars. If you go to YouTube and search for Cruise automation or General Motors autonomous vehicles, you get an array of those videos. You can see in some of them that actually you see the engineer with his hands on his lap, just monitoring that the vehicle is doing what it's supposed to do and learning from the environment that it goes through. And precisely the video, it's a couple of minutes here, that will show the complexity, the huge challenge, perhaps one of the biggest of our generation in terms of engineering, of having autonomous vehicles operate in that kind of environment. Let us take a look at a couple of minutes of the footage. This vehicle is autonomously driven, and of course you see situations in traffic. Some are normal, some aren't, and the vehicle is learning to maneuver in those situations. Of course, pedestrians. Bicycles. We celebrated a few weeks ago the vehicle stopping for a raccoon. Streets that change the way, the direction in the middle of the way. Well-behaved drivers and not so much. Okay, I think we have a notion of what this is all about. It is pretty cool. It is happening right now. We see those autonomous vehicles performing those tests in the city of San Francisco. And it is important to us to do it there because as a laboratory, we believe with every 1 second, every 1 minute that we have those vehicles in San Francisco will be the equivalent of having an hour of testing perhaps in the suburbs with a less aggressive environments as you saw in this city, in this jungle of concrete. Second pillar of the strategy then is to talk about electrification. We believe in an all-electric future. It all started for us a couple of years ago when we launched this vehicle here in the picture, the Chevrolet Bolt EV, that for the first time combined a large range of electric miles, about 238 miles with a full charge of the batteries, at an affordable price. And from there, we're about to launch in the next few years an all-new architecture of electric vehicles. We'll be bringing solutions to the passenger car market, the crossover and sport utility markets on our way to a fully electric future down the road. With this, we're solving for the zero emissions portion of our vision. The third element of the strategy is urban mobility. We started Maven, it's a GM startup of 3 years ago, and now we have 3 very distinctive products in the marketplace. The first one is, we call it Maven City. This is a fleet of vehicles that we have in 14 cities around the US, where people can access those vehicles very seamlessly using technology. So basically, they download the app in their cell phones. They find the vehicles in the cities where they're located. They approach the vehicles and open the cars with the proximity of their cell phones. They get in the vehicles, press the start button. They don't need a key. They don't need an interaction with any other person to do so. Take the vehicle and drive it for as long as they want, an hour, 2 hours, a day, the weekend. And then when they come back, they return in the same place that they found, where parking is negotiated so that it is there waiting for their return. So no hassle there in terms of finding the parking. A good example of this Maven fleet is what we have here in Los Angeles, and in particular what we have here at the campus in USC. We have 23 vehicles here in campus that both students and professors and faculty can take those vehicles and run their missions in the weekdays or in the weekends. I was telling Dean Willowbay that to be happy that those vehicles typically are used more in the weekends than in the weekdays, which shows me that students are doing their homeworks. The second service that we have with Maven, we call it Maven Gig. As you probably have heard, about 40% of the workforce in the US get engaged in a gig kind of work. And what that means for some people is the single source of income and their families, and for some people it is a complementary source of income for them. So these fleet of vehicles are available for our customers to take those cars and then go to work with them. They can drive for Lyft or others. They can transport packages. They can use their vehicles and their time to go in the delivery service of food in large metro areas. They can rent those vehicles for as little as a week, and they can extend it then thereafter for a longer period of time. And the third element that we have created with Maven, one that is, have us really, really proud of it. It's a pilot that we started at the end of last year in Detroit, and now we're expanding it, scaling it to other cities in the US. We call it Maven Peer. And this is a peer-to-peer possibility. And the story is that if you own a GM vehicle, 2015 and beyond, so we have the right technology in those cars, you can, let's say, go from home to the office. You're going to plan to be there for 8, 9, 10, 12 hours in the day. And during this portion of time in your day, you can put the vehicle on the Maven platform so that others can rent it. And in other words, it's like you're telling your car, go make some money for me so that I can pay for you, right? And this is a phenomenal experience so far. Numbers are growing in the peer-to-peer experience for us, and it'll be a phenomenal opportunity, we believe, for our customers, GM customers for the time being, to use these platform to get some income for them and for their families. Good news is we have a table with Maven representatives here in Los Angeles in this event. So if you're curious about it, please stop by. If you want to download the application so that you can use our vehicles on the weekend or in the weekdays, please do so. And if you do so, we want for you to enjoy a discount and a promotion in your first ride so that you can get to know and learn the experience. If you're interested in getting your GM vehicle by any chance, upload it in the platform so that you can have it making some money for you, that's the way to go. And let's talk then about the last pillar of our strategy for a 0-0-0. If with Maven we're taking care of the zero congestion, with connectivity we're taking care a little bit of all these pillars. How do we offer experiences in the vehicles that are safe for the drivers and are safe from a cybersecurity perspective? Connectivity started really for GM some 22 years ago with Onstar. We were really pioneer and became an industry standard in terms of safety, security, and peace of mind with telematic services in the vehicles. More recently, GM went to connect all of our vehicles a few years ago, and we have today the largest fleet of connected cars around the world, reaching over 20 million units out there. With Onstar, we're really proud of the services that we offer. We're in the business of saving lives. And I want to show today a couple of videos of Onstar. The first one talks about a situation where, by virtue of having these connected vehicles and the technology that they carry, we can monitor that the sensors of the vehicles are not working in a normal way and detect that there has been an accident, for example, when the airbags are deployed. In that event, there is an immediate and automatic communication in between the vehicle and our advisors. All of our advisors are certified to manage medical emergencies. And what we do really is to put these customers in the hands of our true heroes, which are the emergency providers throughout the country. These are police departments, fire departments, and emergency services, so that we can take those services to our customers in the fastest and most convenient way. So let me show you the video.
Jane, this is Jim from Onstar. I've contacted help, and they're on their way.
Okay.
Is there anyone I can call for you while we wait?
My husband.
Okay. Don't worry. I'm going to stay with you until help arrives.
Thank you. That deer, it just came out of nowhere.
We want our customers to be safe out there. And we get about 7,000 events of automatic crash notifications on a monthly basis where the vehicle connects with our advisors. We have on top of that about 10,000 calls on a monthly basis of people in our vehicles reporting an emergency. A few weeks ago, we delivered another baby in one of our GM vehicles. This was a mother who was driving her daughter to the hospital, and it turned out they didn't have enough time. So she calls and she says, I think my daughter is having her baby. And because we have trained personnel in our advisors group, we said, okay, stop the vehicle in a safe place. We're contacting the emergency services to get there. It might take a few minutes. And in the meantime, go into the rear seat and tell us what you see. She described the situation, and our advisor said, yeah, that baby's coming. So we gave her instructions to use day-to-day materials, a jacket in that case, to deliver that baby. So this is a grandmother who delivered her grandson, and at the end, the phone call ends with the conversation around, we now need to tie the umbilical cord. What do we have? Do you have tennis shoes, or do you have a charger on your phone? And this lady had a charger of her phone, and she tied the umbilical cord with that. And at that point in time, the emergency services arrived, and we have a proud mother and grandmother doing that work for her daughter. Isn't that cool? Another situation that happens, unfortunately, is people stealing vehicles. There are over 700,000 vehicle thefts in the U.S., and sometimes they get into speed chases of the good guys and the bad guys, and putting lives in danger of those doing it, but people around them as well. So this next video talks about this situation.
I have the stolen vehicle in sight. Onstar, it's safe to slow it down.
Mr. Grantham, this is Onstar. The police have your vehicle.
Thank you so much.
And we use some technology there to save some lives and to recover the assets of some of our GM customers. You might recognize the environment that was shot here in the proximity of LA. We have about 5,000 calls on a monthly basis reporting stolen vehicles, and about 1,000 of those incorporate some dialogue with the authorities, and some of them result in us slowing or stopping down at the command of an officer those vehicles that would otherwise get involved in a high-speed chase. And the last element I wanted to cover here with you all is then how do we bring the digital ecosystems that we carry in our hands? One growing problem and pain point that we want to also solve is driver's distraction. People are testing and using their cell phones while they drive. We believe by bringing technology solutions in the vehicles so that our customers continue to be connected, which is important in all of our lives, they do it in a way that it is safe for them, and also from a cybersecurity perspective, it is safe. We're bringing a solution to these pain points. So we have a great array of solutions in our infotainment devices, in our radio screens, so that we can offer navigation, we can offer voice, we can offer applications so that our customers can interact with their vehicles in a safer way. Thank you very much for your attention.
Santiago, thank you. I'm wondering if I'm the only one whose stomach is still churning from the autonomous car vehicle. It might just be because I have a 16-year-old who I've been teaching to drive, which not quite as smoothly as your autonomous car is. So thank you for being here today. Welcome to the Trojan family. As a parent of a freshman, as you know, parents have a very special place in our heart, so thank you. We also have a tradition here where we like to kick off our Q&As by inviting some of our extraordinary students to come up to the mic at first, so I'd like to introduce them. Carmel Graham is in our Marshall MBA program. Sebastian Sedelnitsky is in Annenberg's Global Communications program, and Nicole Farage is in our Masters of Journalism program. Any employers here? They're free in May 10th to be exact, after commencement. So Carmel, why don't you come on up to the mic? Thanks. I'll let you come back. Actually, okay, fine. Go ahead, go.
I stay here?
Thank you for being here.
You can actually go.
So do you want me to stay here? So cool, yeah.
So I read that the NZEV program supports a 50-state solution that's obviously geared toward the United States, yet manufacturing of GM vehicles occurs throughout the world. So my question is, will production of these cars be localized in the United States, or will production for these zero-emission vehicles be dispersed throughout your global plants? And if they are dispersed globally, do you have plans to roll out this new NZEV program to these other countries?
Thank you. So the problem of emissions is a global problem. I just came back a couple of weeks ago from China, and it is happening, I would say, in China, I would say at a faster pace than it is happening here in the US. Both government and private companies are really committed in transforming the automotive park there into electric vehicles. So yeah, we have to have those solutions around the world available for our customers. If you go to other emerging economies, for example, Brazil, we just launched there our first fleet of electric vehicles, and with time, we believe it'll grow. We believe down the road, in the future, in a fully electric world, where we bring a solution to the zero emissions problem. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your presentation. I would like to know more about what 3 infrastructural challenges do you see as being the most difficult to tackle in the US autonomous market, self-driving car market?
Perfect. So I think it is, first we need a pretty detailed, high-resolution map of the world. And that's an effort that goes in parallel with our vehicles learning what goes on in the traffic. The second one is a vast capability of computing so that you would understand, those vehicles understand what is it that they're seeing in front of them. Passengers, bicycles, animals, pedestrians, cars, some doing the right thing, some not doing the right thing. And so computing, I would say, is the other one. And the third one is managing on a vast amount of data that those vehicles are capturing so that we can then aggregate, integrate, and come up with solutions and better experiences for our customers. So I think a solution of these three elements are necessary for us to go fully into autonomous vehicles. As I was saying before, right now we're in the process of testing. Safety is our key priority here, and we're going to go to market when we feel that it's safe and that those vehicles are safer than human drivers behind the wheels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. Thank you for being here. So this week, President Trump tweeted his frustration about the closing of the Lordstown, Ohio manufacturing plant that put 1,700 people out of work. How do you look at GM's responsibility to retrain employees to transition to different roles of work within GM? And what does the GM worker of the future look like?
Beautiful. So first of all, we're taking these decisions based on the dynamics of the industry. And at the same time that we're taking those, we're offering all possibilities for those employees to re-engage in other opportunities for work. Just recently, we announced we were hiring employees in other plants, and the first ones that we invited to participate in these processes were the employees that were working and the ones that we don't have allocation of product for the coming months. So we're trying to solve for that problem as well as we speak. In terms of the workforce in general, what I would say is if you imagine the world with zero accidents, zero emissions, zero congestion, isn't it cool? And that is attracting a great array of talent to GM, from the natural STEM careers, of course, because we are doubling our efforts in electric vehicles and in autonomous vehicles. We announced just a couple of weeks ago the hiring of about 1,000 new employees in San Francisco over a period of months, especially in the STEM careers, more so in developing and engineering. But also, if you analyze the new situations that those connected vehicles are generating, we're also bringing great talent to GM in terms of agile development. We got to move not at the speed of an industrial company like it was before. We got to move at the speed of a technology company, and that means that we need to adopt agile principles of developing and bringing the corresponding talent to that. I would also say that with connected vehicles, we also have an incredible amount of information that those vehicles generate, and it is important then to strengthen our profiles in terms of data and analytics. So those are great opportunities that are happening right now. We're bringing people from all over the place in the US, and I would say from the world, to Detroit, that also happens to go through a phenomenal transformation on its own as a city. Thank you.
I just wanted to come up and thank you and ask a quick question. It really is, it's great and it's unique to have GM out here, especially at USC, so thank you for being here. How many of you own or drive an electric car already? Perfect. All right. How many of you have used something like autopilot before? Maybe swear by it, maybe to a fault. And you know, I think I've owned a Volt. My sister owns a Bolt. I've driven. It's a great car. They're great cars, and if you keep making them, we'll keep buying them. I think there's so much upside in California in particular, where we probably lean towards Tesla so far, but we can't wait for more product to roll out because it's going to be used here. So thank you so much for coming here. Thank you for coming to LA and being with SC. And let's please thank Santiago Chamorro. Thank you very much.